So let's talk some more about the Ho'oponopono practice and how we can use it most effectively to make positive changes. The modern Ho'oponopono practice entails repeating the phrases, "I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you." In saying those phrases, what are we doing? We're taking responsibility for the perceived reality of our lives, and we're acknowledging that what we perceive to be a problem is a construction of our minds. That sounds like kind of a stretch, doesn't it? To say that my reality is nothing more than my thought process and that I'm responsible for it. There are situations that are inherently, objectively bad, aren't there? How can I take responsibility for the behaviour of others? And when the bombs are falling and the bullets are flying, well, that's pretty real, isn't it? Never mind what I perceive. There's a quote from the Roman emperor and philosopher Marcus Aurelius that I particularly like. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. And this one, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Ho'oponopono gives you the power over your mind, the power to change your thinking, and thereby the power to change your life. When you do the Ho'oponopono practice regularly, you can fundamentally change your outlook on life for the better. And while the focus is on your internal mental processes, it's remarkable how, when you've made changes to your internal reality, the external world reshapes itself to fit. So, how should we do the practice? In my experience, it's important to do the practice in a mindful way. Notice yourself saying the phrases. Pay attention to the feelings that arise when you say them. Notice each phrase. Don't rush to the next or repeat the whole series mechanically. The practice will gain more power if, as well as paying attention to the words, you're also able to stay present with the distress or discomfort that you are trying to alleviate. If you start off by noticing that distress, it seems to focus the practice in a useful way. Then, as you say the phrases, allow them to resonate in your mind along with the distress. As we've said before, as you repeat the phrases, you'll often notice that your attention naturally drifts away from the source of your distress. And that's really one of the effects that you're looking for. But to allow the practice to do its work, the starting point should be a mindful awareness of that distress. Now, when people first experience the effectiveness of the practice, one thing that can happen is that they become a little obsessed with it. They tend to overuse it and apply it automatically to every unwanted thought and sensation. This can be counterproductive. The practice loses its power. As I said, the practice works best when you do it mindfully and really pay attention to it. Overusing it tends to diminish the energy you give to the practice, as does using it flippantly, lightly, or repeating it in every moment of the day. Something else that's not useful is when you use the practice to try to force a change. In moments of great distress, of course you want to stop feeling that way, but it's not useful to try and repeat the phrases manically as if you were trying to shout down those bad feelings. I guess an analogy would be if you're trying to meditate and you say to yourself, "I'm determined to relax whatever it takes," and you grit your teeth and go to war with yourself over your inability to clear your mind. Remember, what you're trying to achieve with the Ho'oponopono practice is to free your mind of the distress and to release the negative thoughts. But if you're really focused on eradicating the bad thoughts by giving them so much energy, it can have the perverse effect of reinforcing your attachment to them. Once we start focusing on the outcome of the process, I have to get these thoughts out of my head, then we're still obsessing and ultimately just reinforcing our attachment to the distress. There is wisdom also in surrender. When circumstances become overwhelming, when you lose all sense of agency and it feels like things are beyond your power to influence them, sometimes the best thing to do is simply to surrender. At such times, throwing yourself on the mercy of the universe or your guides or of your God can be the best and only way. We'll talk more about the Ho'oponopono method and other strategies for well-being in our next video. So hit subscribe and I'll see you soon.